What it do, fam? You're listening to the All Burgundy and Go Errrything podcast powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. I'm Wole, and I'm here with my guy, Glen. What's good, Glen?
Hey, nothing much, man. It's always fun so we can talk about Commanders football in the offseason. It is always a pleasure to all those out there watching. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man. We always appreciate the support. You guys are the real ones. This is always dope, man. We here on at 9:30. We already got people pulling up, so you already know that we appreciate it. We appreciate the love. Appreciate the folks who always pulling up. But before we talk about this great topic, we have an awesome guest about to join us shortly. But real quick, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search All Burgundy and Go Errrything. Hit us up on X, IG, and TikTok at ABG_Errrything. Also, like our All Burgundy and Go Errrything Facebook page. Don't forget to subscribe to the All Burgundy and Go Errrything YouTube channel. If you're in the YouTube chat, we accept super chats. Super chats help us support our show. The super chats will be prioritized over all comments in the chat. Here's a rundown. This is what we're going to talk about. We'll chat with NFL insider Lake Lewis Jr. about whether he thinks the Commanders are building a legitimate contender, or are they all these signings were on panic mode? But we'll discuss that. Lake hasn't hit the building yet, but he will be with us shortly. But Glenn, all the signings we've seen, and a lot of, like I've said this in terms of playing the spades game, right? You went to HBCU, you know about playing spades.
I grew up playing spades.
You grew up playing spades.
Grandma had card parties.
You already know.
On Friday night.
You already know. So, like, I like what the Commanders did in the offseason. Personally, I like what they did. But, there's a lot of possibles. There's no definites, right? Yeah. In these signings. There are a lot of possibles, no definites. Mm-hmm. So, like, it can go, like, I call it, like, you got a bunch of, like, in terms of where you at, if you got a queen, diamond, whatever, you got a bunch of kings. But they're not cut. They're possibly cuttable, but they're not cuttable. The chances are pretty good though that they can still give you a book, right? Yeah, if you play it right.
It depends on what other people got in their hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It depends on what other people have in their hand. If you got the king, but if your partner got the ace, y'all cooking, right? You cooking with Greeks, right? Yeah. Right. But you got to see what's being played first before that happens. Yeah. And so with Washington, they have a lot of possibles that have been proven on other teams. Mm-hmm. Hasn't been the star player on other teams, but been the supporting cast on other teams.
There you go.
Been the supporting role on other teams. I'm a big wrestling fan, so I want to kind of relate it to wrestling. You've been the key dog in AEW, or you've been a key dude in NXT.
Yeah.
Now you where the big boys play, right? And now you're WWE. Now you got to show that you are the star.
Yeah,
you just can't be that guy. You want to be the main event. You want to be the Roman Reigns. So these guys need to come in being the Roman Reigns of the situation and not being I don't want to be like Cody Rhodes and say Disco Infernos, but don't be the Disco Infernos for those who watch SmackDown, right? But you got to be a guy who come in to be a player. And I think we have a lot of guys who potentially can be that. And that's where it's up to Dan Quinn, Deron Jones, Durante Jones, David Blah, and all those guys to make sure these guys become the guy.
No, definitely facts. We got our special guest in the building. I mentioned him, well-renowned, well-respected. One of them in these NFL streets. We got the man, not the myth, the man. The one and only Mr. Lake Lewis Jr. What's going on?
What's going on, fellas? How you doing? Good to see you, man.
Oops.
Oh no, hold on. Yeah, now good to see you, bro. Good to see you,
brother.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
It's been a while. Good, because you know why? Because you're doing them in these streets. That's why.
That's why. That's for sure.
And it's a blessing. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're doing so well. I'm glad that you deserve all the blessings you get, my man. Really like seeing you out there, man. Real talk.
Appreciate you.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so Lake, obviously, man, you are in the know, you are in the end. So based on we were talking about the Commanders with the signings and whatnot, but based on what you're hearing around the league, are the Commanders truly building a contender according to like executive coaches, reporters, other reporters that you talk to, and how do they view these player signings? Or on the flip side, do they feel like these signings are more of a panic move trying to do something this offseason?
I mean, most people think that they've been really solid signings, and I've been saying it for a long time they addressed a lot of needs on this football team. And I still think that they're obviously not done. I mean, there's still maybe one or two more free agents, maybe one guy that was already on the roster might be coming back. And then on top of that, I've been saying it for months now. Literally for almost a year, that Brandon Ayuk will be on the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
So that's another move that could be made. And then they still have the draft coming up too. So they still have ways to make their football team even better. But I think that they made significant, moves as far as what they did on defense, especially. I think that they're putting themselves back in the position to compete for a playoff spot.
And Lakeman, with all the moves they made, especially on the defensive side of the football this offseason, right? A lot of the moves were made on defense. Do you think they overspent on the defensive side, or do you think the money's just right?
No, I think the money's just right. I mean, you could probably say that they give Odafe Oweh, more money than most. I know there were other teams that were looking for him as well. We're looking at him, and don't think it's 90 million, or 100 million.
Yeah,
That's what everyone keeps throwing out there. It's more like 68 million.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the going rate for an edge rusher, a 25-year-old edge rusher on top of that, whose best football should be ahead of him. The only thing I will say about Oweh and then obviously Caleb Chasen is that they've been situational players, over their career so far, more likely, pass rush specialists. And I'm okay with that because Washington didn't have that, so now they have two younger versions. And you still have your pick in the draft. Your seventh overall pick could be another edge rusher. You never know. But I just think that with them in the division that they're in and the quarterback play that's in the division, you have to be able to get after those guys. And Washington wasn't able to do that. So if anyone's thinking they overspent, I mean, would you rather have them overspend or would you have them not spend at all? So I'm okay with it.
Like, what college did Oweh go to?
Of course. See, I wasn't, what I'm saying? I wasn't going to do it, but, if you're going to do it for me, that's what's up.
Hey, sometimes that's what homies got to do for each other. They got to throw them layups, right?
I mean, listen, man. Listen, I say this all the time. Big Ten overall, we running things and everything. It was the Big Ten Invitational the other night. Michigan won. The Big Ten Women's Invitational the day before that, UCLA won. And then it was the Big Ten Invitational in the college football playoffs, Indiana. You know what I'm saying? Number one pick in the draft going to be coming from. I mean, it's just conference of champions. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I feel you. Hey, Dujane, what's going on today? We are. Look at him. Look at you.
Of course, Penn State.
Yeah, I guess I'm just to stay on Oweh because I like Oweh. I liked him in Baltimore. I liked him. Because I see what he is. My issue, not an issue, because we talk about the pay. You broke it down. You're right. It's not like that's not what people are gonna see. 100 million for 4 years. Gonna think 25 million a year. That's what people are gonna think. And that, I guess, that's the fear I have about like the optics, right? Because if he doesn't have, say, because if you look at his body of work, right, and he is young, like what you're saying, he's been a situational dude. His body of work is here. He had 10 sacks twice, I think, in his career, maybe once or twice. I think one in Baltimore full time, and I think if you split it, another year, I think he had 10 sacks one more year, but 7.5 is pretty much like his average. He's around 7.5 or whatnot. So, but typically when people see a guy who gets what they deem 25 million a year. Let's put it that way. Because it's all about the optics.
Of course.
And he doesn't reach, say, because his max has only been 10 sacks. He doesn't reach that, right? Which we've seen that happen for him. Like my thing is about is like what pressure how much pressure is going to be on him. Because how this fan base is, like, come on, like what like they'll be like 7.5. We paid him this amount of money for 7.5. He's supposed to be like the Micahs of the world getting that amount of sacks. You know what I mean? Like, so do you feel like that pressure is going to be on Oweh? Because you know how this fan base is. I'm just being real.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a pressure that I'm sure most of us would sign up for. Yes. To get that kind of money. And he's betting on himself. I mean, he could have stayed where he was. They have a nice situation in this LA. But he wanted to come back east and I feel like he feels like his best football is ahead of him. And I also know from talking to some folks in the building that Adam, they feel like, and Coach Quinn, they feel like him and Chasen, are guys that are ready to take the next step in their careers and not just be pass rush specialists, but be 3-down players, So they're hoping that, maybe one of them they can do that with. And I just think that when you're Washington and you look at what they already have on the defensive line, they don't necessarily need these guys to be, stopping the run. Or we know what they are, and they're pass rush specialists. That's what you have Dedrick Wise. That's why you have Dorrance Armstrong, who by the way is a hybrid guy, can do both. I think they feel like they're okay, and they also got Charles. I'm going brain dead from Kansas City, defensive lineman.
He's Nigerian too. There's a bunch of Nigerians.
So,
it's not a bunch of us. That's okay.
You know what I'm saying? So they literally, I was just about to say they boys.
Chinaway, right?
Chinaway,
yeah, it's Chinaway, right? I gotta say Chinaway. It's Chinaway. Okay.
Chinaway.
Yeah, Chinaway.
Yeah. So again, they. When you talk about the number of sacks, I hope fans don't put a number on what's been productive.
Agreed.
Because let's just say all three of these guys or two of them get 7.5 sacks. That's 15 sacks. That's like coming from one guy. And then you still have your leading sack guy when healthy was Dorrance Armstrong. So
right.
I just think, that, again, what Adam's done, people don't like giving my dude any credit, man. They're like, Lake, you give him too much love. I mean, that's my dude. But the bottom line is he's done better than anyone who's ran this organization since Charlie Casserly. And that's a fact, So you can't knock that. You just gotta let this stuff play out. And I think that, obviously having a new defensive coordinator is gonna say a lot. That might be the biggest acquisition of the offseason for Washington. And if you can get Durante Jones to come in and play that Minnesota style and, that aggressive downhill, always attack style, then I think Oweh will be okay with that.
I agree with that, Lil Lake. But, I have a concern, not a concern. Do you think there's too many short-term deals and not locking people in for long-term? You know what I'm saying? Because when you have short-term deals, I understand the motivation behind it. You have to prove yourself, but it also seems like people don't have a home and they don't get too comfortable.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. But I think with Oweh, obviously giving him that 3-4 year deal shows that they plan on him being here for the long haul.
Right.
And then they did the same thing with Leo Chenal. So, those are the type of young players at 25 years old that have been on playoff teams, by the way. You can't overlook that. With Chenal, he's 2-time Super Bowl winner. Yeah. So, been in 3 Super Bowls, 1, 2. So, I mean, he's 25. He's still a kid,
Right.
So those are the type of guys that you expect. When I spoke to Leo and asked him about coming from Kansas City, what can he bring to this team? And he talked about the work ethic and just hopefully helping bring some other younger guys up with him. And he's 25 talking like that. So obviously winning ways breeds maturity. And I think that that's what they're hoping with a lot of these acquisitions of, I mean, even down to the corner room, they brought in guys that were in the playoffs. So, when all is to compete at the highest of levels, it trickles down. And I think that that's what they're expecting.
Is there any concern about, like, me and Glen talked about it before you got here? You've played spades before, you know the game. And in spades, there, like, I feel like this signing was with a lot of possibles. There are a lot of possibles, right? And it's like good possibles. Like, you got a hand, you gauged on everybody else. You gauged and they got you look by your hand. You're like, this is a good. I mean, somebody can cut me, or they can't cut me, or this is like a safe one, but it's a high possible. But there's no definites, right? In the signings that they had, there is no definites. There is no guy that you automatically think penciled in. That person is a 10 sack guy automatically, or this person is a 1,000-yard receiver automatically. Does that concern you? That, all right, we're hoping for the best because there's a high possible. It's a good possible. Like when you talk about Oweh, you talk about Chenal. Like, these are guys that, or even Chasen, there's an opportunity. They have the ability to put out those numbers. But on the flip side, just like in space, you can get cut, like because somebody else is ready to make that counter.
Yeah.
Is there a concern that they didn't get like a definite in this offseason?
No, because there was only 2 definites at edge rusher, and that was Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson.
Facts.
Max Crosby's hurt, so obviously that's why he went back to Vegas. And Trey Hendrickson, even though it was a big move for the Ravens because they needed to come away with something.
After that,
it still wasn't a move that made me say, him being on the Ravens puts them in the Super Bowl. So what I'm saying, that's not no disrespect to him, but my point being is that there are no guarantees, none whatsoever. I mean, you got to go out and produce.
Facts.
The thing that I do feel very comfortable with Oweh and with Chasen is that the veterans that they're going to have on that defensive line are good dudes, and they're teacher type players. I always say the Dedrick Wise injury last year was bigger than people realized.
Yeah.
It derailed everything they were trying to do on the defensive line because this was a guy that could set an edge. You weren't running on him that way. And he was a large guy on top of that. And I think it kind of affected Javon Kinlaw because of that injury, because they had to start asking more from Javon when they didn't need to do that before. So you think of, Javon and Dedrick and Armstrong, Dorrance Armstrong. We haven't even mentioned the guys in the trenches. We haven't mentioned Duran or Johnny Newton. So you think of those guys, and now you're bringing in longer, more athletic youth on the edges. I just think that those guys are going to benefit. Everyone's going to benefit off of each other a lot. And I think that, for Oweh, I'm pretty sure that that's something that he thought about outside of the check, of course, the bag, of course. But I think he thought about, who he's going to be playing with and how it won't be that much asked of him. He's just going to know, pin your ears back and get to the quarterback. That's your job. But as far as him coming in here and him having to have X amount of sacks, X amount of tackles, X amount of quarterback pressures, tackles for loss, I wouldn't put that on him. I think he has to blend in and see how it works.
Like you mentioned something earlier about, you have a lot of teachers on the defensive line, right? And we got a lot of young guys, and you have a new defensive coordinator. How big or how imperative it is for Daronte Jones to make sure that all these interchangeable parts can work together and teach each other? Because again, there's a lot of defense. There's a lot of defensive bodies, right? There's a lot of defensive linemen, a lot of edge rushers, a lot of interchangeable guys when we use the word, Wole use hybrid guys, they can go different places, right? How important it is for Daronte to make sure everybody is covered down and the defense is solid.
I mean, it's uber important. That's why they brought him in, because what was there before wasn't working, and guys look robotic. They looked out of place. They almost look like they forgot how to play football. And so now you get a true teacher in here, and you can tell, from his very first press conference, he talked about how he will reach each player the way they need to be reached. You can't force a way of teaching on everyone the same, so mention stuff that they use in the school system, basically, as far as how to reach people. And that told me that he's a guy that cares about each person and how he communicates. And, I just know he's from the area, so you already know he don't want to look bad in front of the fellas. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm excited about this defense. I think this defense has a chance to be markedly improved. I'm not going to say they're going to be a top unit, but remember when they went to the NFC Championship game 2 years ago, I think the defense overall was ranked like 13th or something like that.
They're like middle. Yeah, middle. They're like middle.
Yeah, but a couple categories they were at the bottom. Couple categories, ironically, they were in the top 5. But I think overall they were like middle of the pack. So that got you to the NFC Championship game. I'm saying right now on paper, this defense now is better than that defense was on paper.
Mhm.
So
I
if they
agree.
can get you 13 or better, this football team is going to be in the thick of things. That's just common sense.
Mhm.
Obviously, it starts with Jayden Daniels, his health. If he's healthy and the defense is better than the defense from 2024, this is going to be a dangerous football team.
You brought it up, and that's where I was going to go next. We've talked a lot about the defense. Now I wanted to talk about the offense a little bit. And one of the glaring things at offense, we know if Jaden's upright, this team has a great success, right? But this team let a starting center leave the building, and that is a glaring issue that this offense has as of right now. In some people's eyes, right? Because I think
Mm-hmm.
because Algrady, if you look at the stats, he started the last 2 games of the season and didn't give up any sacks, didn't give up any pressures. So he could perform. A play came from a Kansas City team where he kind of performed there as well, right? We talked about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl type guy.
Mm-hmm.
How big is having a center here in Washington? And in your opinion, do you think Algrady can get the job done?
Yeah, I for them to move on from Tyler and not secure one of the top two, centers in free agency, you could look at it like it's alarming, or you could look at it like they felt comfortable enough to not overpay after they
Mhm.
released a guy,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that tells me that they feel like, Nick can do it. The Allegretti can fill in there for right now. Maybe they draft someone and develop that person, to be the guy ultimately. A little bit of a grumble, you might hear, is that perhaps Brandon Coleman gets a look,
I heard about that. Yeah.
because he's an athlete, and I know he wants to be on the field.
Mhm.
So, but Chris Paul is
Right.
not going to give him that job back.
Mm-mm.
So maybe Brandon, they take a look at him at center, and he's got size. Obviously, he's got smarts. He's got great footwork, and like I said, he's an athlete. He's Wole. I don't know if you noticed, but Brandon's the best hooper in the
I
locker room.
heard. I think you told me this already. I think
Yeah,
you told. I
yeah,
think you and
man.
Donna
Yeah.
told me this. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
he like the
yeah,
best hooper. Yeah.
like for real, for real.
Okay.
He played overseas basketball
Oh,
before he
basketball
but
season.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, snap.
before he started playing football. So I'm
Oh, this
talking
was okay.
point guard, big
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude
he's a
like that
point.
with handle
He
and
got
all that.
handles.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
wild.
yeah,
So that,
like
so, so,
that.
he, so that means he's very athletic, right, and knowledgeable. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
When
what
you run apart, yeah.
and that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want your centers to be able to move, and that was the knock on Tyler, actually, was that he would get moved around a little bit by bigger, four technique guys. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
bigger nose tackles. Guys were moving him around, and I do know that they want to be more physical with their offense this year. They want to run the football, and they want to be more north south vertical, and that's where maybe they feel like Allegretti might have been the stronger of the two, which is ironic because Tyler was a bull, man,
That's what I'm
but
saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but Nick is a guy that obviously we know is versatile, has played many positions on that line, and but he was a center in college, ironically, and
Yeah.
that's the thing, like
Right.
that's what his background was. So he's kind of looking forward to getting the shot to do it.
But also, especially when you're going under center this year as well, that makes a difference on the offensive line.
It does.
Being able to get off the ball quicker, being able to take care of the three technique if you have to, or blocking back, taking care of a four. So some of those things are important at center as well.
Yeah.
They probably looked at and see what can be done. So
It's I mean,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
Go ahead.
and that the communication aspect too, not just Jaden being under center sometimes now, but the communication aspect of a snap count and the cadence and all those things. The center has to have that too. And a lot of times the center's the one setting up the line,
Mm-hmm.
starts to call the check downs and things like that, points it out for others outside of just, snapping the ball. So it's going to be important, but I think Nick Allegretti has proven his intelligence on that line, and I think that's what has made people in the building not so worried. I clearly feel like they're still going to address it,
Mm-hmm.
because as of now, he would be the only center. I mean, I don't think Tyler Larson is if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if Tyler's even on the roster
I don't
right
think he's on the
now.
roster. I don't think he's on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
roster.
right. So again, you're gonna have to get another center regardless. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that leads me to believe that Brandon's in play here.
Okay.
No, I get you. So I know, Lake, I know we have you for a short minute of time. I want to ask you like this one question before I let you go.
Hmm.
From an insider standpoint, like you talked about Jayden, and but how confident are people around the NFL are in Jayden Daniels being able to take the next step? Obviously, last year was hit with injuries, but and that kind of like anything, injuries kind of set you back a little bit, right? And now
Yeah.
he's going to have to be under center, and that's something he hasn't really done most of his career. But now this is going to be, but we all know that he's smart enough; he has the ability to do it. But like, how confident are other execs, other analysts, and even yourself? How confident other folks are that Jayden can still take it to the next level?
Well, I think all of us who are around the game know
Mhm.
he's special.
Yeah,
There's no doubt. Um, you have some haters out there that think that his rookie year was an anomaly, and I try to tell people, no, that was the best rookie campaign by a quarterback in history,
fact.
and
Mm-hmm. Facts.
and he'd never had training wheels on. I
No.
could I
Mhm.
could say all the way up until the Super Bowl, Drake May still had training wheels on.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Nix had training wheels on all the way up until the AFC Championship game, and that's not knocking those guys because they're really good football players. And for my money, I think this 2024 draft class, quarterback class, has the potential to be one of the greats.
Mhm.
They really
Yeah.
do. All of them are doing what they need to do, but Jayden's different. And I think last year, had the injuries not compounded, with him and even with the team, I think this team would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think this year he's going to have a chance to prove to people you kind of forgot after 1 year what I'm capable of. And they've got some more weapons for him, and they're probably going to go out and still get some more weapons for him too. So most executives I spoke with, coaches, scouts, especially when I was in Indy, everyone
Mhm.
was just like, man, just excited to see him healthy again
Yeah.
and see him out there having fun because you could tell last year it wasn't a fun season.
No.
Kind of lost that smile that he normally has. So everyone's looking forward to that this year, and I think it's going to be a lot of shut up type play, like just, shutting people up.
Like I know you got to go. Got two questions for you real quick. The first one is this:
Hmm.
if this season does not go well, right?
Hmm.
If this season does not go well, who's the first to blame?
That's a great question, Glenn. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say they do everything together, so it'll be a collective blame if it doesn't
Mhm.
go well. Naturally you would say you could say Adam because he's the GM and he brings the talent in, but then you could say Coach Quinn because as good of a person as Coach is, there were times last year I wanted him to override some people on some
Mm-hmm.
decisions. The Minnesota game, three straight plays at the 1 yard line you pass.
Right.
As a coach, I just need you to tell the offensive coordinator, we're not doing that. Bottom line. But he delegates and he lets his guys do the stuff. So my thing is, I think collectively it would be a failure, if it didn't work out. And you
Gotcha.
might be talking about, the hot seat. Like no one's getting fired after this year. I mean, they'd have to go like 0-17
Mhm.
for people to get fired. But they only won 5 games last year. So let's just say they win 8 games this year. That's still progress from the year before, but we know they're better than that.
Right.
So I think the playoffs would quiet a lot of talk, even if it's a wild card. It'll quiet a
Yeah.
lot of talk. Uh, and one thing I do know from knowing these guys, there's some egos and there's some competitive fire that you're going to see this year because a lot of people feel like they've been forgotten, and I know they don't like that.
Got you. And the other question is: we talked about defense a lot. But can't talk about defense without bringing up the leading tackler has not been signed to a team.
Yeah.
What your thoughts on that leading tackler not being signed back to this team yet? Because no one wants to talk about it, but it's the elephant in the room.
No, it's an elephant in the room for sure. But I think Bobby will be back. I do. I
Okay.
think
As a
he'll be back.
starter.
See, that's what he's gonna have to come to grips with.
All right. That's what I'm
You,
saying.
because the thing is, Chanel can definitely be a Mike, but he also is a guy that can get on the defensive line too. He's versatile.
Mhm.
So I just think having Bobby back is a good problem. It's not something that you have to worry about. Should he be starting? Should he not be? How many reps does he get? The fact that he would be in that linebacker room will make them even better, because I still think that they've taken a step. But right now, if you go into the year with Chenal and Jordan McGee and Frankie Louvu as your 3 linebackers, I can live with that, frankly.
Yeah, I
But
can.
if you tell me that Bobby's back now in the fold, that's just another smart, Hall of Fame caliber player that can help these guys continue to grow. And trust me, Durante Jones is smart enough to know to find Bobby his moments on the field. It doesn't
I agree
have
with
to be
that.
every day, every down though.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do like your point, and I'm gonna let you go. There's one question that my man Deluxe has for you, Lake. He said he has a question for you. He says, who does Lake want at 7?
So let me tell you today. So I've been saying, for weeks, Ruben Bain might be the guy. Even still, even though they picked up 2 edge rushers, because he's an all down, every down type of player. You're not running the football on him either.
Yeah.
But today I did on my ESPN show, I did a mock first round.
Okay.
And the way we drafted and picked, you'll be surprised who was the pick for me. It was Mansour Delaney, from LSU, the corner.
LSU.
That because of the way everything fell.
So Love went
and it
before
was
you?
between
Did Love go?
it was between Love went 4. He's going to Tennessee.
God damn. Why does everybody keep doing that?
He's going to Tennessee. So
Yeah, he's going to
and he's not going to be there at 7. So, but the 2 guys that were there was the corner, obviously from LSU, and Caleb Downs from Ohio State. And the reason why I said that is because they just brought in Nick Cross. Nick Cross is a starting safety. He's 20 and he's 20 and he's 25.
Like, what did you just say? Like you just said so. What did you just say? Like, who runs the world?
Oh well, I mean,
you just said the Big Ten runs the world.
I mean, look, it is what it is. I'm just saying, like they brought him over. He local kid, played in Maryland. I went to DeMatha. And they didn't bring him in to be a backup. He was a starter. I'm surprised the Colts let him walk.
Right.
So for him to come here was a coup. And you pair him with Will Harris. I keep trying to tell people Will Harris is one of the smartest guys. You just didn't get a chance to see it last year because of the injury. But I'm trying to tell you, Nick Cross and Will Harris is a significant upgrade at the safety spots for the Commanders. So Caleb Downs, who's going to be the odd man out? Obviously, would it be Will? I don't know.
I'm saying.
I just saying, like, they addressed that need with Nick Cross. So to me, the corner room is where I still think you could use a bigger body and one more. So that's what I had.
I feel you. I feel I'm not mad at it.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm just gonna say this. Like, I know this. Like, and I hate this team with a passion. Like, I hate Ohio State. I just know, like, the best player on that defense was number 2. Everybody can take the other players all they want. But I know
who you think.
No. The best player on that defense was Caleb Downs. I don't care anybody. Like, I watched the Miami versus Ohio State game. The only 2 dudes who stood out is the guy you mentioned in Miami and Caleb Downs. Those are only 2 dudes who stood out. And, like, the only 2 dudes. I know who the best player on that and I think he can play. He's so versatile that he can play. But like this, and this is why I said that I love the way Adam Peters sign players, because nobody's better than the play. If the player slips to you in the draft that is like that type of player, nobody's good enough to say, "Oh, we can't draft him." That's what I liked about this. And that's why I like about this their signings. If you're in play for everybody.
Yes.
Other than quarterback.
And that's what I was saying. Like, even if it was Bain, people were like telling me, well, no, man, they just signed Oweh and Chasen and Mendenhall, whatever. And I'm like, no, listen, that dude's a dog.
Yes.
And Washington's in a great situation. Whoever they get at 7, that person's going to start. That person's going to
I
help
agree.
this football team. Carnell Tate was sitting there, but see, for my money, no offense to Carnell Tate, because he's great, but he's not my best receiver in this
Thank you, Lake.
draft.
Thank you,
My
Lake.
best receiver
Thank
in
you.
this draft is Makai Lemon.
You like McCall Lemon? That's your
Oh my
favorite?
God!
See, I
I knew
like
you were gonna say
I
Jordan
like Jordan
Tyson.
Tyson. I like
I
Jordan
like
Tyson.
I
Tyson a
like Jordan
lot
Tyson.
too.
I like Jordan
I
Tyson.
like
I
Tyson
like
a
Lemon. I
lot
like
too.
Lemon. I like Lemon too, though. I think he good too. I think
Bro,
so
if you
too.
go back and watch all footage and
Yeah,
tape of all the receivers,
yeah.
I'm gonna ask you who was on the other side of Makai Lemon, on either side, because he was killing in the slot.
Say I fly
Who,
everywhere.
bro, he did it all, and
Yeah.
teams knew
Who's
that
getting the
he
ball?
was the option,
Yeah,
option 1 and 2,
Mhm.
and they were double teaming him, putting the safety over top of him.
yeah,
He still caught everything. He is Amron St. Brown.
yeah,
He is a clone of that guy,
yeah.
Okay.
and that's a good
No,
football player.
I like him too. My brother is a USC fan, so I was forced to kind of like know who he was. So I
But
know,
with that
like,
said, I wouldn't
yeah.
take him in Washington
I
though.
would take him in
No,
Washington. I
sir.
agree with you. I would take him
No,
at 7.
no.
See, this, like, I'm gonna let you go, but that's my argument about when people keep talking about Tate at 7. If you can make an argument that another receiver is better than him,
Mhm.
then you shouldn't take him at 7. You know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean? Like,
I just think for what he does in underneath and in the slot,
yeah,
they don't need that. What they
yes,
need, if they are going to take a receiver, you have to take Tyson or Carnell Tate
yeah,
because they're vertical threats.
yeah. I
Carnell
got you.
Tate really being that guy. But this is my only thing, and I will say this: I'm not
Take
throwing
it.
shade at Ohio State because they produce.
There you go.
But he had Jeremiah Smith on the other side of him,
Like, that's why I
and
don't get
it's
the.
like, and
That's what
it's
I'm
like
saying.
like when people say, well, so did Jackson Smith and G, but he had
Marvin, yeah,
Marvin
Marvin,
around him,
yeah.
but nobody expected for JSN to be what he is right now.
But
No,
No
even
no,
way.
but even
nobody
like
did.
though, even
Nobody
that
did.
though, I'm gonna be real. So, but even that though, right? Because he was highly like people were talking about him a lot, but he was getting 1,000-yard seasons though.
Yeah,
Like
he was.
Tate didn't get no 1,000-yard season. Like that's the thing I'm
No.
getting. Like y'all acting like that's
And I
what kind
watched
of
him run a 4.56 at the combine.
that's what I'm
And to
saying.
me, that was like,
You,
that's not fast.
that's not
And
special.
again, and again, he was
Before his-
wide open a lot.
Because
before
So
his-
that tells me it's the scheme, it's the talent, there's so much talent there.
yeah,
And I'm not knocking them because if Washington were to take him at 7, I wouldn't be like upset. I mean, I think
yes.
they're getting a really good football player.
But Lake, you smart enough
But
to you know too. Also, is the difference between running 40 speed and game speed.
nah,
And
he's
yeah,
game
but it's
fast.
yeah,
He's
but,
Jerry Rice.
He's
He's Jerry
game.
Rice
And that's what I'm
fast.
saying. He's
but
game
no, see,
fast. It's
no.
a
To
difference.
Lake's point though, this is the point. That's the thing. You're seeing it against the second best corner on the team. Or like because the other dude is getting double teamed with the best corner and a safety over top.
Well, if he comes
If
to
you-
Oh,
Washington,
Ohio State's third and fourth receivers are 5 stars too.
but think about it.
Yeah, like, but I'm
But
saying like you're
but
worried
that's what-
about you game plan when you watch. So this is the thing when you game plan, like you're a Penn State fan, I'm a Michigan fan. When
Mhm.
your team is game planning for Ohio State, you ain't truth be told, you ain't game planning about the running back. You game planning about Jeremiah Smith. That's the dude you game plan for.
But hold up. But to your point, if he comes to Washington, you game planning for Terry McLaurin.
But it's different when you're playing against like those are. You're right, but it's college corners and NFL corners are different.
No. I mean,
but your number one,
I'll
your
say
number one
in fairness
corner
to
is one
Glen,
on
in
Terry
fairness
McLaurin.
to Glen, he wouldn't come to Washington and be the number one. I
Yeah,
mean,
he wouldn't come to Washington to be number one.
Exactly.
I get his
He
point,
would
yeah.
get some work that way he could get open, but again, I'm just saying like from just me over the last couple weeks just watching film.
Yeah.
And I've watched a lot of it, and bruh, I don't know what it is about Lemon, but I'm like,
Good.
he's tough, and he's always making contested catches, always.
Mhm.
All right, well, Lake, man, I appreciate you for being on, man. But before we let you go, we'll continue. Before we let you go, how can folks catch you on social media? How can they catch your great content, do your great work? Let them know, man. Let them know how they can pull up.
Yeah, man. You can check me out on social media, Lake Lewis Jr. It's all on all those platforms. Man, you can check out some of my stuff with the league, and then I'll be in Pittsburgh, for the draft. And then you can check out my show, Lake Lewis Jr. show on ESPN Radio. It's also on ESPN in Richmond. It's going to get syndicated, so it's going to be on a couple places. And And then also you can hear me on HD radio as well. So I appreciate it, man.
That's what's up, man.
I told y'all Lake be everywhere. You think I'd be lying? I don't be gaslighting stuff, man. I just keep it a beam, man. That's why I told you my guy be everywhere. Hey, Lake, man, appreciate you for doing this, man. Have a blessed one, my man.
You.
Keep up the great work as always, man.
Always, Lake. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, fam. Good talking with you.
All right,
guys.
good talking to you.
Good talking
All right,
to you
Lake.
as well.
Appreciate you. Take care.
All right.
Take care.
All right, y'all. That's the great Lake Lewis. You already know Lake knows everything, man. So
Yeah.
he knows everything. But I will say this, man. Like, this is the thing about, like, that to my point about Tate, and we'll go back to like the discussion, like the main topic. But I like Tate. I think Tate's good. So I don't want anybody to think that I've said this before. People, anytime you have a counter about Tate or whatever, people think you think he's bad or this, that, and the other. I think he's good. I just think that at 7, he's not worth 7 good. I think that's a different talent. 7 is a different talent when it comes to wide receivers. Like, is Tate better than the kid from Arizona last year who went to the Panthers? No, he's not.
No.
And he went 8. So it's like, why would I, like, when you pick a receiver at 7, you're looking at a number 1. You're not looking for a number 2. It's a number 1. A receiver at 7 is a number 1 receiver. That's the goal for when you pick a receiver in the top 10. It's not a number 2 receiver.
I agree. I got to go back to what you guys talked about last week. I wasn't on the show last week, but I got to watch. It goes back to what Dan Quinn said and Adam Peters said as well during the winter meeting. It is what is best available, right?
Yeah, best available. Best available. You just said best available.
And what's your need? The question, I put it on our TikTok today. If you're Washington Commanders fan, are you going what's best available, or are you going for what the need is? And I think that's what Washington's that's the dilemma when Washington gets to 7, right? It's going to be who's available, because you heard Blake say when they did it today, his best available was Caleb Downs was the man out. You know,
man's out. He took the corner. He took the corner.
Right, he took the corner. Yeah. So again,
which is
now you're looking at Washington, what's available and what your need is. What are you trying to do with that need? And I don't think any of us know, because guess what?
I don't think anybody knows. I agree.
And nobody knows. But what I think I do know is that it might be an Ohio State player. It may be one. Somebody may fall. Somebody may. Yeah. Maybe. It ain't
gonna be Reese. It ain't gonna be Reese though. I know that.
No, yeah, it ain't gonna be Reese. So it becomes one of those situations now.
Malachi, like I keep telling Slim, he's not a first rounder. So I don't even. Malachi's like a second, third rounder, and Washington doesn't have a second rounder. So so they won't get Malachi.
And I'm gonna go out here on the limit of this, and Washington's not gonna trade 7 picks. So I don't.
Yeah. Malachi Fields ain't even play.
That conversation people want to have about Washington may trade. I don't think Washington is trading back. Again, goes back to our conversation, the topic tonight that we talk about. Are they being a contender or panic mode? To me, if they trade back, to me that seems like a panic move. That's not. That's not
AP trading down late. What's going on? What's up, Mitty? It's AP trading down, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't think to me, if he trades down, it's a panic move, because again, that means your guy should be, if you got 7, you got a person there. Unless somebody's just giving you the farm, unless Cleveland or whoever, unless somebody's giving you a good second round, a high second round pick. I'm talking about a late first, a high who has 2 picks in the first round, and you getting another first round pick. You know what I'm saying? Or you may be sliding back 1, but you're not sliding. You have to get and you got to be sure. This team still, all they did in the offseason, this team still has holes. And I know what Lake said about center. There's a hole at center, right? Right now, there's a hole. They still got a hole at another corner spot. They still got a hole at a wide receiver, and we still got a hole at still got a hole at linebacker, right?
A man like Lemon, I can see my man. I see already. I see you. I
read the clues, right? I read the clues, and that's kind of creative, though, man.
That's very creative.
And you know what? And shout out to everybody else in the chat that didn't break your cycle up, neither. Right? Somebody could have just hit you. Somebody could have hit a comment, and you just.
They could have hated. Yeah, facts. Somebody could have hated.
Shout out to people in the comments, man. Trading down for punks. I agree with that. Trading down.
This is what I will say. Like, I don't want them. I don't think they should trade down. So I'm saying that. But I will say this: if they want a wide receiver, though, I'm gonna be real. If that's what Adam Peters is like. He's like, I want a wide receiver. If that's the only way I would say for them to trade down. If they were like, I want a wide receiver, you can trade down and get a wide receiver and get value for it, and still get multiple picks. You will get a wide receiver that could be arguably probably the best wide receiver in the draft. Probably, if you trade down, like you could still get one. One of those dudes that could give you good numbers at the number 2 slot with Terry McLaurin. If you want a wide receiver, that's if you want a wide receiver. Like everybody's talking about, like you saying, like, or like Taylor, you put Jordan Tyson with Terry McLaurin. He's putting up numbers. You put up and like going against the number 2, just like you talking about Tate, because you're going against a dude that went against number 1 receivers, corners, and got double team. Now it gets to go against like you're talking about. Now he's a secondary receiver. If you're talking about Lemon, like you trade back and get Lemon. Now you got to do that is like a good. If Tate's around, you can trade back and still possibly get Tate. That's still a possibility. Like you don't got to trade back far back. But you could trade back to the 10th, 11th, and still get a wide receiver if you want wide receiver. I would only trade back if you want a wide receiver. I'm gonna be real with you. Any other position, I'm like, you gotta keep that spot because it's not a guarantee you're gonna get that guy. Wide receiver, you can find other positions. You can find a receiver that will make you happy within the next if you trade back. And you can make the argument that each receiver is better than the other. You can make that argument if you want to. Because it's not like a Jeremiah Love situation where he's 10 times better than the next running back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only position is wide receiver. Other than that, I'm not trading back, period. I'm not trading back at all. I'm taking whatever. Because I think if you take a player back to the topic at 7, that's gonna make you because you're gonna get one of the better players. I think you'll be a contender. You won't be a pretender.
So the question is this: I think it goes back to what Lake said, and we all talk about it.
Yeah,
it's the Ayuk situation.
That too.
It is. Can we be honest? Right? If you know you're going after Ayuk, you don't draft a wide receiver at 7. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, if so, hopefully that gets done before the trade. If that deal can
getting done, it's not going to get done anytime soon.
Right. So then
I don't know what Lake. I ain't gonna lie to you. They San Fran real petty. That thing may happen. It may go in September. They not.
Yeah, they've been petty.
They've been, and unless Washington wants to get, and if I'm Washington, I'm not giving them no draft pick for somebody at all. Like I'm not even giving the 7th. Like I know he don't want to be there. Why do I gotta give something up if he don't want to be there?
Washington has all the leverage. Well, San Francisco and Washington have all the leverage in this situation.
Yeah, like I wouldn't.
So then if you know Ayuk is done, then you may go 7. But again,
Agreed.
I go back to this. It goes back to who's on the board, best available or need. Because if you have a Caleb Downs, and I agree with Will Harris. Will Harris did run. When Will Harris came back, the defense secondary played better. When Will Harris was there, Harris was there, they did.
A little bit. Not did they really though? Not a lot.
But you gotta realize when Will Harris came back, Dan Quinn was in charge. So
that too. So we can make that argument.
So you can make that argument. Yeah. So to see a full body of work from Will Harris will be important to have safeties there. I do agree. I would like to have Caleb Downs, a young guy. If you get a young guy who can still learn and play a little bit in situations, I think that would be great. But again, when you draft at 7, you potentially are drafting a starter, right? If you draft that 7, if you pick at 7,
you're a starter. You're not a rotationary dude. You're a starter.
Yeah. Your 7 is the starter.
Yeah, starter. That's why you gotta be careful. That's what I'm saying. Like even like the Caleb, I like what Lake was saying, but Nick Cross can play in the box. He plays in the box, and I feel like what I'm saying. Will Harris is a physical safety, he's not a free. He also plays in the box, so like I don't think that situation is as like. Oh, appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for super chat.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you said any non-wide receiver at 7 and Ted Hurst, Skylar Bell, Elijah, at 71. Agreed. I agree with that as well. Totally agree with that. But I will say, appreciate you, full command show. Really do appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
But I will say, like, that's why I feel like when I said that the blessing of Adam Peters signings, that's why I do think they make some contenders because any player you can add the best available player in this draft. Mm-hmm. Because no position other than quarterback, and I'm being real, no position is untouchable to be replaced. Like no position other than and tackle, obviously tackles too. Right and left tackle, but no position is untouchable to get a better. You can get any player that you feel that you deem is better. If you get the best available player slides to you, that means people may like Bill, but if Jeremiah Love slides to you, you can get Jeremiah Love. Mm-hmm. If Caleb Downs slides to you and you feel like he's the best available player, you get Caleb Downs. Defensive end. If you feel like just because you got Oweh and Chase on, that don't mean that you can't get banged. Like that don't mean nothing. It don't mean that you can't get Bailey if Bailey slips to you. It don't mean nothing. Like you could still get these players.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I like that situation with him.
Yeah, I mean, I like that too. I think.
Oh, sorry.
I know you go whatever they have and whatever they get. I think they is going to be worthwhile, and I think they're going to be able to use. I think they're going to be able to use what they have, right? I think Dan Quinn and Adam Peters have been cooking. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They've been cooking up some stuff, but they still and it's smelling kind of good. You know what I'm saying? It's smelling kind of good, but now you got to taste it. We got to start seeing those type of things, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we got to see. You got to be able to start seeing those type of things and how that maneuvers and how that plays out. Because again, as a fan, no fan wants another 5-12 season.
They did.
No, right?
I like this one. Go ahead, sorry.
Right. They would. Hey, dog. They did. If you get if you get that deluxe, let's be honest, deluxe. If you get another,
they get Bailey. You run Bailey's there. You can run. I'm not mad at that. I'm running to the podium. I'll take Bailey in a second.
Yeah, if you get a person like Champ Bailey, you run to the podium.
Well, like Bailey for at Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Oh yeah, Texas Tech Bailey. Texas. You get Bailey. I run to the podium and get Bailey.
Yeah, I would.
But Bailey, I like Bailey, but I don't think Bailey's gonna be there.
No. I mean, well, I'll say this much: if Titans get Love. Somebody, it's a chance.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a chance he could slip.
It's gonna be a lot of people slipping and moving.
It's a chance.
Goes back to what I said earlier. It's best is who's on the board. Yeah. It's who's on your board.
I think he go 3. I think he can go because people liking Sonny Styles a lot right now. I mean, there's a chance. Not contending or panicking. They're building. I like that one. Window is open as long as Jayden has 2 working legs.
I agree with that too. As long as Jayden got 2 working legs, this team is good. I think the offensive line is better. Only concern on the offensive line right now is center. But I like the Brandon Coleman thing. We talked about it earlier, and we kind of laughed at it a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
But because he is athletic and smart, and he might be able to do it. But again.
It's possible.
It's possible. That means, but that's a lot of offseason work.
It's a lot of possible, man. It's a lot of possible.
It's a lot of possible because and I say offseason work because now he has to make calls. He has to understand checks. He has to command. He got to call out defense. You got to call out the mic. You got to make when you're the center. You're making a lot of checks. You're to the quarterback. You're the smartest, one of the smartest dudes that's out there because you know what everybody else is doing plus the quarterback. And when you still have to. Let's be honest. The key thing for a center, you still have to get the ball off, right? So that's the biggest thing there. So again, so I rather see them in the 3rd round get a center.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Indiana center is good, right? They just won a national championship. Mm-hmm. He should be there in the 3rd round. I think Texas has a center out there as well.
Yeah.
So there's some quality centers that they can get who can learn. And maybe even compete for a job. This team has always talked about competition, right? And you see what they're cooking at and how they're maneuvering. Every position is competition. If you bring another safety in, it's gonna be competition. You bring a wide receiver in, it's competition. Yep. So you bring a center in, it's gonna be competition. If you bring another linebacker in, it's competition. So again, and the thing that we talk about competition, and also out there too, this Debo situation. I think is connected to Brandon Ayuk as well.
We'll see how that plays out.
Let's be honest. Debo didn't have a bad season. I want to see guys in the chat. Y'all let me know. Do you want to see Debo again? Debo with a healthy Jayden Daniels, because I think they had something special there from what we saw.
I don't think no one knows. I agree with you. I said this before. I said this in the past. Like Debo hasn't gotten a fair chance of what his role was supposed to be with Jayden and Terry McLaurin, like in their exact slots. Like he wasn't supposed to be like the number 1. You know what I mean? He wasn't. He was supposed to play all counter Terry McLaurin, and he was supposed to be utilized a certain way. So I do think that, and even that though, they had high hopes for like Noah Brown, right? I think Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin was the 2 outside dudes, and Debo was supposed to play in a slot and be that guy that can do a lot, from that position. But now I think, to be honest with you, you can get Debo for cheap, probably cheaper than what his market value is. Bring him out. You got at this point in time, you got Terry, you got Diami. I mean, these are guys because Jayden worked out with all these Terry and Diami. He worked out with them, and they're all super tight. He has chemistry with Jayden has chemistry with Diami. Debo, I thought in the beginning of the season, Debo was playing well with Jayden Daniels. So
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, I think that the market, and I think Scott, what does Scott say about the market? Scott said Debo isn't my first option, but if it happens, I won't be mad. I just think that where it is that like Debo in his right slot in this situation, where the money's at, I wouldn't be mad at it, Glenn. I wouldn't be mad. But I want to go back to the topic of what you like of it. Like I want to ask you this question. So do you feel like personally with the signings they did have, do you feel like a lot of it was like pressure signings to sign said players because they were panicking, or do you feel like these are moves they really wanted?
I think they got the best available player that's in the draft. I mean, not in the draft, the best available player in free agent, right? They didn't want to overspend for Hendrickson, right? They didn't want to trade anybody, leave for Cosby. They didn't have anybody to trade. Let's be honest, right? Because you're not giving up none of your top guns to get Max Crosby. So I think a lot of these moves are trying to. I'm not gonna say panic moves. They're precision moves, right? Moves where they got to be precision to move, and you hoping that they work, right? As we talked, we opened up talking about spades, right? If I have the queen of diamond in my hand, I don't know who have the king or the ace, right? It is a precision move. When do I play it? Right? Do I play it? Do I play it? I play it. If my partner drops the ace, right, or my partner drops the king first, I'm like, okay. And they go around the table.
Yeah,
man. My partner got the ace, so now I can play the queen. So so it becomes one of those situations. I think they have precision moves, and you have to see what works here. Is it a panic situation? By the press conference, they said at the end of the year, it is a panic situation, right? And this is a comment that I've stuck on. I've said this probably every podcast that we had since that press conference. They said that this can never happen again.
True. They did say that.
Right.
They did say that.
Right.
Yep.
They both said this can never happen again.
That's a good point. Yeah.
To me, it's a panic when you say this can never happen again. That means somebody's head's going to roll. That's why I asked the question. If it does not go well, who do you blame? Because both of them said this can never happen again. So you kind of you feel the pressure, right? Because you want to get back to 12-5. You want to get back on the winning side. You want to go ahead and beat the Giants. I mean, you want to beat somebody in your division other than the New York. You want to beat the Eagles. You want to beat somebody other than the New York Football Giants, which last year that's the only team in your division that you beat.
Trash. That's true. Oh, and the Eagles. They beat the Eagles the last game of the season. That doesn't count though.
Yeah, they beat the Eagles the last.
That doesn't count though. That doesn't count though.
Yeah.
I know what you mean though. It's okay.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate it. But you said something. I don't know, man. I'm not a Luke dude, man. I'm just not a Luke dude. But you know what? I think Ayuk's coming too. I think that but I'm not sure. I just wouldn't wait on it. I think San Francisco is real petty. I think Ayuk definitely eventually will come to Washington. I'm trying to figure out when though. Like when.
Is he getting paid still?
I mean, they can wait till September. I heard they can wait till September to release him.
Dude, look, at this point, if you release him in September, if I'm Washington, I don't bring him in. Sorry.
I think I heard they can be that petty. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Unless Washington wants to trade and give him like a 7.
No.
And I'm not.
Washington need all the picks they need. You need to get younger and you need to get guys in. And again, do you want to?
I don't know.
Ayuk can be cancer, right? But will Ayuk have the bulletproof vest on because Jayden is a friend?
That's what I feel like. I mean, Jayden is obviously campaigning for him. So I think that's what Ayuk has on his side. That the franchise quarterback is campaigning for you.
Well, that and franchise quarterback, and that the GM. You and the GM got the GM.
But I think Jayden is pushing hard. Like I think the GM has a responsibility, right? Like he's got to look at his roster or whatever. He has an idea what he wants to do. But I do think that like Jayden pushing for him is definitely like it.
I've always said that Jayden better be careful. Sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for.
I agree. Right? That's the one thing I will say.
Be careful what you ask for, because if you get it and you don't perform, if you get it and doesn't go well, you asked for it, right? You brought him over.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. That's the only
So,
thing.
so,
Yeah.
so you need, if you ask for it, he better come in and be like Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, here you go. Deluxe says San Fran won't want him on the field. If BA wants out, he needs to show up and force their hands to release him. That too.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Like, I won't lie. Like, that's the thing that he has. That's a delicate game for him, man, because that's what's going to turn him off to other teams down the road. Like, he has to be careful how he handles the situation, because being a like, it only works for you being a so-called cancer if your talent is like that trill. Like, you gotta be like like, there's a reason. The reason why Terrell Owens would always get an opportunity is because he's a
team
top
player.
Well, not even that. It's just that the level of talent is at a higher level. Like, you're talking about arguably at his time, top 3 receivers in the game, period. So that argument is different when you're that. If you're a Brandon Ayuk, you don't hold that type of clout. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could deal with a lot when you're that player. If you're not that player, then people can always work around you. You have to be you got to be special of the special to kind of evoke that type of stroke, to be real with you.
And you haven't played in a year and a half. I mean,
that too. Like, and it's not. Yeah, it's different, man. Like, I don't know. Like, the drama got to match the ability. That I will say.
Thank you, Paul. I'm gonna put this up here.
Yeah.
No, we don't need the drama in the make or break year.
Yeah.
You need.
Oh, that's a good point too.
You don't need it. You need peace. You need peace. I used Kevin Durant a few minutes ago. When Kevin Durant came to the Golden State Warriors, it was a smooth transition. We haven't heard anything out of that bad boy that was bad. It was a smooth transition. You need somebody. We need people who come in here and let it be a smooth. It's already gonna be tension in the air anyway. It's already gonna be. This team is gonna be pressing. I want people to understand this, right? This team, and I'm gonna say it now. It is April the 9th. You can mark the tape. I'm gonna say it. This team is going to be pressing. You have a new offensive coordinator who needs to prove himself. You have a defensive coordinator who's the first time being a defensive coordinator. He needs to prove himself. You got a head coach. I know Lake said nobody's gonna get fired. You better have a head coach who doesn't like to go.
He said nobody will get fired.
Well, Lake said he don't think anybody will get fired
because they're going to play. He play well.
Yeah. Play well. So you got a head coach who needs to prove that he can control the team.
Yeah,
right.
Agreed.
Right, and make tough decisions. Right, and you have a GM who realized that I have a draft class that may not pan out. Right, but I got players who can play. So I brought these players in. So this team is going to be on panicking. I want to say panicking. On edge going into the season, going into the first preseason game, right? Yeah. So they have to prove themselves because it is playoff. I'm not gonna say it's playoff or bust, but a 5-12 again. Go back to the conversation on the statement they made. 5-12 can't happen again.
Yeah, it's gotta be a good team, man. I don't know playoffs or bust, but I do think they have to compete. Like they gotta be. They just gotta. It's the way they play. It's all about how we see and how we view it. They got to be over 500. I do believe that. I'm not, but it has to be. They had to be a competitive over 500. Like if they're gonna miss the playoffs, they gotta barely miss the playoffs. Like that's how type of thing. It's gotta be that.
They gotta be quality wins. You gotta beat the Philadelphia Eagles. You gotta beat the Dallas. You gotta beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to beat teams in your division that are good football teams.
Yeah.
Right. Don't give me the 5 wins and every team that you win don't have a winning record. Hey Paul, 10-7, I take that. 10-7 is better than 5-12, right?
Yeah.
So
less than 10-7. I mean, 9. Yeah. I don't know. Again, it depends how 9-8 looks. That's what I will say. Let me add that. It depends if they do 9-8. It depends how 9-8 looks.
9-8 don't get you in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But again, they're over 500. It depends how it looks. Are they a good 9-8-10? You know what I'm saying? Are all these teams good in the league? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so let me see, like a this year Detroit.
Detroit had a bad year. Detroit may turn up next year. It just depends how it is. Like Detroit is a better team than what their record was.
Right. Well, Chicago is not a better. I think Chicago is.
Chicago. We don't. They can go downward. That's a possibility. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, there are teams that you expect to be better. Like I expect the Packers. They were hit with injuries. I expect them to be better next year. I expect the Packers to be better next year. Like there will be teams that'll be better than they were last year. So it all depends. Again, it depends on how it plays out. Like next season, if they're playing good football, then they'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? But it just depends how it looks. That's all. Because every season it dictates its own. Like every division dictates how it's going to be. Like the Vikings could be better with Kyler Murray as a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like even though I don't think Kyler Murray is that good, but it'll be better. Maybe it'd be better with as a quarterback.
Well, he'll get the ball. He'll get the ball
to Jefferson. You know what I mean? So like so that's all I'm saying. So but we'll see how that all pans out. But yeah, this has been a dope show. You know what I mean? Like thanks to homie Flake for being on. Glen, we did it again. Another banger show, my guy. Shout out to my man George who couldn't make it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But hey man, we're getting close.
Before we go, man, I just want to shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody that subscribed, man. We pushed us over to the 1,000 mark, man. We appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for doing that, man. It's been a long time coming, some good work, but it's you guys that did it. So we want to appreciate you guys, clap you guys up. Thank you. Every time we come on here, you chat us up. If you're watching on, listen, if you're watching on Twitter, right? If you're watching on Twitter, go over to the YouTube page, right? All Burgundy and Gold, everything. Hit the subscribe button, right? Yes. If you're watching on Facebook, go on over to the YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, right? Also give us some likes and stuff like that. It works for the algorithm. I know Twitter may be your thing, or X may be your thing, but the YouTube interaction be jumping.
Facts.
The YouTube interaction be jumping. So you want to interact with the rest of the Commanders fans, go over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button so we can interact.
And also, and add on to that, we do got an audio pod, so make sure, you go on, you subscribe on audio pods. Hit us up on Apple Podcasts, all the stuff that I mentioned before. Subscribe, rate. You know what I mean? So subscribe, rate, and so folks can because that does well in terms of moving us up on the podcast, numbers and whatnot. So just hit us with a subscribe, and also rate us and leave some feedback. That's always dope. And it is. Thanks to Luxury. You're right. It is better on YouTube.
It is better on YouTube. And all my people overseas that watch us, appreciate you. Y'all don't understand. We got a big overseas following too. So overseas,
Oh, thanks, Paul, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul, man. Appreciate
it. Anyway, man, appreciate everybody for pulling up. You guys are dope. Appreciate Lake for jumping on this pod as well, man. But anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything powered by the urban sports scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. You dig? Deuces. We are out.
Peace.